Batman ride remained closed. 17-year-old boy, now identified as Asia Ferguson of South Carolina, was decapitated and killed after he was struck by the ride moving at roughly 50 miles an hour.
All I could do was cry, because he's more than just my nephew. He's like my little brother.
Got a whole life ahead of him, but see, I can't say that because that God got to have his say-so.
It's a tragedy that he's so easily able to get over those fences and get in.
It was supposed to be another fun-filled experience as usual when thousands of visitors flocked in to visit the famous park at Six Flags over Georgia. The visitors included children from the Oakey Springs Baptist Church in Springfield, who had come under the church's annual Sunday school outing. But a few hours later, all the fun and excitement soon turned to unimaginable horror. As an ambulance pulled up to the scene to pick up the body of one of the kids, gruesomely killed by the park's facility, the Batman RollerCoaster Ride. Sit tight as we look back at the tragic events of Saturday, the 28th of June 2008, the day the life of a young boy who should have been having the best days of his life was cut short.
He was so easily able to get over those fences and get in.
Located at the entrance of the Six Flags Gotham City area, the Batman roller coaster has been a staple of the park since its opening in 1997. The ride, which is themed after the 1989 Batman film, was a steel-inverted roller coaster and was actually the world's first inverted roller coaster. Its design was made to capture the feel and spirit of the Batman, right from the entrance of the Gotham City Park. Through crumbled structures, a bullet-ridden police car, and finally the Batcave, which is the character's hideout. The ski lift seats, which run along 2,693 feet of track, travel at a top speed of 50 miles per hour, taking thrill seekers 105 feet in the air, through loops, corkscrews, and raven turns, giving the sensation of flying much like the way Batman glides. In what had become an annual church event, the Oakey Springs Baptist Church on the 28th of June 2008 took about 70 members, including 20 families, for their Sunday school outing. Asia Ferguson and his family were among the participants in that year's occasion. As expected, anticipation for the trip came with a lot of high hopes and dreams for the teenagers. Asia, just like the others, was hyperactive. He couldn't wait for this dream to come true. Well, little did he know what lay in wait for him that day. On the much-anticipated day, members of the Oakey Springs Baptist Church, including Asia and his family, gathered at the church auditorium where a vehicle was waiting to convey them. A few hours later, they arrived at the park. On arrival at the entrance of the park, they said a short prayer before going into the park. The cheerful group of teenagers and kids tried different side attractions to either play games or get some refreshments. But walking with a large crowd makes keeping track of a particular person more difficult. Asia, who initially was with his parents and his fellow teenagers, soon left them and wandered on his path. Subsequently, everyone had lost track of him in the crowd. Well, since he wasn't the only kid at the park, his parents believed that he was probably having fun with other kids, and that's why none of the adults bothered to check on him. Besides that, Asia didn't go alone, he went with a friend, and everyone thought nothing could have possibly gone wrong. Asia was a teenager with more strength than the average child, so he visited a lot of stops, trying to make the most of his visit to the park. Soon, he found himself at the front of what looked like a restricted area. To date, it is still unclear what pushed him to get into the restricted environment. Some eyewitnesses claimed he was going to retrieve his hat, while others suggested that he might have wanted to try out the restricted ride. But these are just more speculations. Moreover, for an adventurous kid like Ferguson, left unsupervised, it would be tempted to see such a ride and not want to at least touch it if he couldn't get on it. By the way, it's not every day you get the chance to visit the park. And to make matters worse, Asia and his friend choose not to go through the park's main entrance. They took a path that was clearly marked with signs that read "Danger" and "Do not enter." People who regularly visit the park know how important it is to stick to the rules, but Asia was young and didn't visit the park often. But defying all warning signs, Asia climbed over 2 6-foot-tall fences to enter the restricted zone. It is also still uncertain if he did it to retrieve a lost hat or fulfill his craving of knowing how it feels to be close to the pleasure structure. Well, whatever his reasons may be, entering such an area was a high risk that could go either way. According to an eyewitness, Nadege St. Fleur, she was waiting in line for the Batman RollerCoaster Ride when 2 teenagers rushed past her and jumped the fence. At this time, the ride was still in full swing. A few minutes later, St. Fleur and her sisters watched in horror as one of the teens was struck by the ride. One of them ducked underneath the ride, and the ride just picked him up and threw him over the fence, said Pascal St. Fleur. According to reports, an off-duty police officer from nearby Marietta also saw what happened and quickly summoned help. Six Flags Park security and Cobb County emergency personnel arrived quickly, but the medical examiner confirmed that Asia was killed on impact, with his head decapitated. Ironically, while Ferguson was killed by the ride, the other people on the roller coaster and his friend who climbed the fence with Ferguson were not hurt. Cobb County investigators said the two teens ignored several warning signs that should have alerted them to the potential danger. The gate that leads into the immediate area of the ride was secured. It was locked. So not only did they have to jump over the perimeter fence, but they had to jump over the fence immediately surrounding the ride, said Cobb County Inspector Sergeant Dana Pierce. A spokesperson for the park, Ms. Hella Sheth, speaking to reporters at the scene, said, "A sign on a locked gate read, 'Danger Zone, do not enter, authorized personnel only.' It's still not clear why the two men were trying to gain access into this unauthorized area." In the aftermath of the incident, Asia's family and friends were left devastated. This wasn't the type of news any family member or friend would want to hear. Six Flags Over Georgia released a statement expressing their condolences and describing the incident as a terrible tragedy. The park immediately shut down the Batman ride, and the area of the park where the accident occurred was closed off for several days. This they did to honor Asia Ferguson and also to help in the investigation that was being carried out. The investigation into the incident was conducted by the local police and the state's Department of Labor. Investigations into the incident proved that Asia ignored multiple safety warnings and scaled two tall fences in order to enter the restricted area. The coaster itself wasn't deemed to be in safe working order, and the operators of the ride were not found to be negligent in any way.
He must have known that he was going somewhere where he shouldn't have gone.
However, the investigators did note that the park had not done enough to prevent guests from entering the restricted area. Following the accident, the park installed additional barriers to make it more difficult for guests to access restricted areas. In addition to the changes made to the park itself, the incident also had a significant impact on the community and the country as a whole. The incident was covered by national news outlets, and many experts weighed in on what could have been done to prevent it. It was indeed a difficult time for everyone involved, as many people questioned the safety of amusement park rides. For Asia's family and community, it was even more painful. The loss of such a child filled with promise only brought severe pain. Speaking to newsmen after the incident, Asia's father, Asia Ferguson III, told the Associated Press in a phone interview that only God knew what actually happened on that fateful day. Police investigators tried to tell us what they thought happened, but nobody knows but my son and the Lord. We don't know because we weren't with him at the time. We're not clear on what happened. All we know is that we don't blame anybody. A week later, Asia was buried in his family's residence in South Carolina. The funeral was held at his family's local church, the Oakey Springs Baptist Church, with hundreds of people in attendance. It was a very emotional and difficult event for his family and friends. Many of Asia's classmates and friends from school and church attended the funeral, as well as people from the community.
All I could do was cry. Because he's more than just my nephew. He's like my little brother.
15 years after this tragic event, this incident stands as a reminder that safety should always be a priority anywhere we find ourselves, and that keeping to rules and regulations will help us to stay safe in the long run. Also, while the memory of Asia Ferguson lives on in the hearts of those who knew him, it's important to cherish every moment we spend on Earth. Thank you for watching till the end. Please leave a comment on how this made you feel, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can get more videos like this. See you in our next video. Bye!